Hello and welcome to my course, Python Jumpstart by Building 10 Applications. Whether you're entirely new to Python or you've had some experience with it but you'd like to understand the language better, I think you'll have a lot of fun building these 10 applications with me and learning the core language concepts along the way. I've carefully chosen these 10 applications to make them small enough that you can focus on the essential language constructs while you're building the application, and there won't be too much extra stuff to distract you, but hopefully they're big enough and complex enough that they're interesting to you. And you'll see we start out quite simple, but as we build up, they get more and more complex, more and more realistic, I would say. Welcome to the course. We're going to have a lot of fun. Let's talk about what we're going to build. We're going to start at Hello World. And this is not just a test that you can write print hello world. That would be kind of silly. We'll actually do just a little more than that, but we're also going to make the focus of this app to make sure that your setup is right, that you've got Python installed, you're using the right version, it's in your path, all the various things you need to make sure your environment's working. You have your editor configured correctly, all those kinds of things. Then we're going to get to our first, what you might think of as real app, guess that number game. And the computer is going to randomly choose a number, and it's going to ask the user, hey, what number do you think I guessed? And it'll sort of say too high, too low. You may know this game. So that'll let us work with things like user input, converting strings to numbers, conditional statements, Booleans, all of those foundational language constructs. Then the next one we're going to focus on is a birthday countdown application. And this will let us really explore dates, times, differences between dates, the various things like that. Once you are finished with this app, you'll be very comfortable working with dates in the Python language. And the idea here is the user is going to enter their birthday. We'll then use that information to figure out how many days their birthday is in the future of that year, or how many days it's already been since it's gone by. The fourth app we're going to build is a personal journal or diary. And this app is fairly complex. We're going to look at a lot of really useful and central features to the language. We're going to focus mostly on file I/O, but also partition our app into many different files and reusing those files to build up a more complex application. We're going to dig into functions and a lot more. So these first four apps have just run on our computer, and that's great, but we live in a connected world. So this fifth application is going to be a weather client. We're going to actually go out to the internet and get the weather wherever you happen to be located. You'll enter your zip code and out will pop a weather report, a real live weather report that's up to date to the minute. Now we're going to use a lot of cool language features and packages to build this one. So we're going to focus specifically on how do you go to the Python package index, often referred to as PyPI, and grab these packages, install them locally, and use them to construct something that will let us get our weather report. We're going to do some HTTP requests. We're going to do some screen scraping, HTML parsing, things like that. At this point, we're going to need a little laugh. We've built these 5 apps, and we've worked with the internet, but we've only gotten text back. So this lolcat factory is going to let us dig into the concept of binary files. So we'll combine the fact that we're going to go to the internet, grab some binary data, in this case, very important lolcat pictures, save those to binary files on the disk, and then explore them with Python. Have you ever played D&D or some of these types of games? Well, it's time for a wizard battle. So we're going to make a game where we have things like wizards and dragons and so on. And this is kind of a text role-playing game. We'll create a wizard, and the wizard will be part of this ecosystem where he battles different creatures and so on. Now, for this, we're going to really dig into the concept of classes, object-oriented programming, inheritance, duck typing, all of the OO type building blocks that really make Python a powerful language. Number 8, we're going to build this file searcher so you can enter some text and it'll go through your system, your hard drive, look at all the different files, pull out the various pieces of text and give you a little report on it. Number 9, we're going to build a real estate investor application. We're going to start with a CSV file full of real estate transaction data, historical data for a particular location. And then we're going to write an application that will let you answer questions about it. What is the average price of a house that has 2 bedrooms sold in this location? What is the most valuable house ever sold that had, 1 bathroom and 1 bedroom? Those types of things. So we're going to work with this file format, CSVs, which most of you should be very familiar with. But the idea will be easily translatable to other formats as well, of course. And we're going to really focus on two Pythonic concepts here, two language features in the Python language that are fairly unique to Python. That is generator expressions and list comprehensions. These are ways to do almost database-like query work in your procedural code. So super powerful, super interesting for answering the types of questions this app might ask. Last but not least, we're going to have a movie lookup app. So in this application, it's going to go out to the internet again and give you information about movies. But the thing we're actually going to focus on is not so much the internet part. We did that in 5 and 6 already. We're going to focus on errors, exceptions, error handling, things like that. What if you can't get to the internet? What if the site is down? What if it returns data you don't expect? How do you write an application that fails gracefully or maybe doesn't fail at all? So that's what we're going to focus on. These are our 10 applications. If you're brand new to Python, I recommend you go in order. If you kind of know what you're doing, if you look at the second one and go, oh, I know all these things, feel free to skip around. But I would encourage you to go and look through the list of the core concepts. Each chapter, each application has a set of core concepts that it lists out. And if you don't know those, be sure to go back and look at that first, because they kind of build on each other, even though they're somewhat independent.